Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I finally am on the final review to record today. Thank God. I've had so much to do today. It's been busy. But anyway, I've been talking about the Quiet Place films, and this past week, on the 4th of July week, was my mom's birthday. And I took her to see Quiet Place, technically Quiet Place 3, but it's called Day 1, and it's a prequel. Anyway, another pre-apocalypse movie that then becomes the apocalypse. Tied to a series that was pretty much fantastic up to this point. A lot of the complaints you've heard other people say, I pretty much have word for word the same, if not a little bit more severe. This is easily the weakest of the three Quiet Place films, but this is the movie where we see the aliens come from the sky, land in this case, New York City, not some random small town like the first two movies, which really isn't part two, but in here we're watching as a prequel when the aliens landed in New York City and how the military handled that, but mainly we follow through the eyes of Lupita Nyong'o from Star Wars The Force Awakens, Jordan Peele's Us. Let me be honest with you, this movie was weak. It was weak. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all, really. It was weak. And the characters were not good. They were not very good. And I was surprised by that. I'm not really a Lupita Nyong'o, however you say her name. I'm not really a hardcore fan of her. A lot of people overhype her in general, I think, because she was in Force Awakens. She's not a bad actress, I just don't think she's that good. Here is a great example of that. And the guy that follows around with her is another example of someone like that too. I'll get to him in a moment. But basically we follow through Lupita Nyong'o's eyes, who is a cancer patient, who is on hospice. And her group of people that she happens to live with in this hospice take a trip into New York City. She only goes to this stupid puppeteering show because she wants to pick up pizza in the city. And while she's there is when the apocalypse happens. Pretty much every old person she was in hospice with is killed, as well as a ton of New York City. And this is the problem I have. Almost from the get-go, the people that are surviving the situation, it's like they just magically know that these creatures react to sound. I'm not convinced at all, even by the end of the movie, that these people have any real confidence to believe that they knew that as early as they did. There's just no way. If the military didn't know, there's no way these civilians on the road didn't know either. It's bullshit. So I thought that was a little messy. Lupita, being the lead actress, is not great. She does okay. I kind of expected more out of the cancer patient storyline. I kind of wanted a little bit more of that in general. I don't really know what I was expecting going into this film. I expected more suspense and fear of these creatures like we kind of had in the previous film, because those films are more character-driven suspense movies and creature features. This has elements of that, but there are moments that didn't need to happen, because Lupita Nyong'o's character and the guy she eventually encounters, named Eric, are embarrassingly stupid. Embarrassingly stupid. The character choices in this situation are so dumb. So insanely dumb. Lupita Nyong'o's character happens to have a cat to kind of be her stress animal, I think. And that cat is adorable. It's my favorite character in the movie, easily, hands down. There's a couple of ties to Chapter 2 with some characters. I thought that was kind of nice. I liked that particular guy from Chapter 2 as well. I won't tell you who it is, but, you know, that was pretty good. And outside of the cat, that's it. That's the only character I liked that was fun to watch. The characters here are just stupid. The guy, Eric, that shows up is from overseas. I think he's like British or something. And he comes here, and when he first encounters Lupita Nyong'o, he just keeps following her around like a homeless guy who just wants some change and just feels heartbroken that you won't give him change. That's what he comes across as to me. I can't stand him. I cannot stand him. It's not the actor's fault, but it's a mixture of bad acting, bad directing, and bad writing for this character. He feels lost, and I understand why, because in the context of this movie and how sudden this apocalypse came upon everybody, and kind of, if you're able to stay quiet, it's kind of easy to live through this. In this situation, it appears, I mean, not in real life, but I'm not really digging what this movie did. I wish we had Quiet Place Part 3 that would continue the family's situation from part 2. We don't really get that. Quiet Place at this moment has made the same mistake Insidious made about getting away from the family of the first 2 Insidious movies. I think as soon as you do that, despite my love for Insidious 3 and my liking of Insidious 4, as soon as you do that, you start to make people care less and less about the series. I don't know, that's just my personal write-up on the board about the situation. I wanted to go into this movie liking it. My mom liked it more than I did. And I'm glad, because it was her birthday, and it was a present for her birthday. But I thought it was just very mildly okay. Kind of underneath average in some areas, kind of just specifically average in other areas. And that was about it. Nothing really super special or fun. The creatures themselves, there's so many of them here. It's not like 1 or 2 or 5, like in part 1 and part 2. There's hundreds of them, because it's, New York City. And there's so many of them, in fact, that the CGI and the budget for this film kind of makes some of the CGI not look as good because of how much they had to do with CGI. It's not impressive, in my opinion. I think it's not a bad movie. If you came to me saying this is your favorite of the series, number 1, I would be surprised. But number 2, I would say, okay, well, there's some effort put in here. There's some budget to this. If you like more of the World War Z type of zombie movies, the big, crazy CGI fests, this is probably going to be your favorite Quiet Place movie. If you're more like me and you love the solemn, quiet, creepy nature of that first movie and even most of the second movie, that's really going to affect your view of this movie, I think, especially if you watch them all 3 back-to-back in a week like I did. So that's just my general opinion. It's a little bit not as good as I wanted it to be. It's not messy or sloppy. It's just bad characters making bad choices, and sometimes people going out of their way to save a cat in the apocalypse. You could die. Why are you trying to save the cat? I don't get it, dude. But anyway, that's really all I have to say. It's a very mixed bag for me. I was not a hardcore fan of this, and again, I would have loved to have seen part 3 of Quiet Place following the regular family we followed, rather than this, a prequel that really doesn't have anything going for it. I think the big influence here is that John Krasinski is not involved, as far as I can tell, pretty much at all. Maybe as a producer role, I don't know. He didn't write it or direct it. Matter of fact, the person who wrote and directed this is a guy who did this Nick Cage film called Pig that I've not seen. I've heard it's pretty decent. But yeah, Quiet Place, day 1, not really a big popular thing for me. I didn't love it. So it was kind of bad in some ways. But part 1 and part 2 are still there. Go check them out. Really good movies. I recommend those a lot. Obviously, Quiet Place 1 being the best of the 3. So Quiet Place Day 1, which is part 3, I guess, at this point. What did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section down below. And if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 stars. But it's kind of like on that border of almost being a 2 because of how stupid the characters are in this movie. It wasn't a draggy movie. It kind of flew by, to be honest with you. But it's about a 3 out of 5 for me. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Thank you all for watching, guys. Do you wish this had been part 3 instead of what it is as number 3? There's a big situation there that I think is a bummer. Because it seems at this point we're not even going to get it. It's been 4 years since part 2, so that's kind of a shame, to be honest. So anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.